So something pretty interesting happened. I was actually blocked by Shoe0nHead. Now it's a pretty weird idea to make a video about this, but she's a pretty influential person in this sort of like weird merger between politics and like just kind of onlineness and like anti-SJW stuff. Jesus Christ. But she's somebody who's very influential, like over 1 million subscribers, a big piece in that whole anti-SJW movement. And I know a lot of people here weren't actually active during that time, so I just thought I would take this opportunity to fill you in. But during the anti-SJW movement, there was a big YouTube movement in 2015 where there was a complete colossal wave online against social justice warriors, quote unquote. So people basically saying that, like, racism is systemic and, there's a lot of misogyny against women in society, et cetera, et cetera. Now, all of that actually is true. The anti-SJW movement was all a farce. It was a lie. It was a fake. It was a fraud. All of that stuff is actually true. Now, with the vantage point of being now, where it's like that smoke is settled, even I had kind of fell into the BS of, no, yeah, it is a little bit like people are going too far in terms of that kind of stuff. No, actually, they were right completely. There is structural racism that exists in the United States. You can look at the disparities in sentencing that runs regression studies that run regression tests, putting in all confounding factors and finding that black people with all of the controls in place, same record, same charge, they're still getting higher rates. We know that housing, redlining and all that stuff happened, and the biggest predictor of generational wealth is housing. So black people are institutionally targeted and discriminated against for that. And yes, misogyny is huge, huge, huge throughout society in our entire culture. You can even see with like Andrew Tate now and with the whole situation with Kai Cenat. So it's very, very serious. So she ended up blocking me. Now, the thing about this is, right, she's a flip-flopper. Okay, so she's kind of like a flip-flopper around. So she was like I think a Bernie Sanders person while also being an SJW in 2016, but then had said some really sketchy stuff like saying, I'm forgetting her name exactly, but, it was the woman who played in the Ghostbusters movie. And, I think it was Leslie Jones, I think was her name. And she says she agreed with Milo Yiannopoulos that she looked like an ape, which is just like insanely racist, just like crazy stuff. But then when 2020 came around, the SJW movement, anti-SJW movement, was dying. It was dying. It was almost dead. And so what ended up happening was she ended up getting off the ship. So some people are good at getting off ship and they can jump onto trends. Somebody that was a good example of that was Thunderfoot. Thunderfoot rode the wave of anti-SJW content until the anti-SJW movement died, and then he moved back into his technological and mathematical thing. He does a lot of different stuff. So she was doing the same thing. So she hopped back onto the progressive train in 2020 on a pro-Bernie, pro-Tulsi train. So she ended up jumping back into the progressive sphere. I always warned caution to you guys. You can watch my videos about Shoe0nHead that I had made in like 2020 or 2021. She's not a principled person. She's not like a Kyle Kalinske or a Sam Cedar or somebody like that who really has like these strong like principles and beliefs that they will abide by. She's more so just kind of a flip-flopper that kind of goes back and forth, right? That's kind of her thing. So why exactly did I get blocked, right? That's probably the question you're asking. Well, here it is. I actually had to pull this up in an incognito window. This is always embarrassing when you have to do this. You have to pull up an incognito window of somebody. And so here's what she sent out. She sent out this tweet saying, LMFAO, all caps, 11:12 a.m. And this is no diss to Shoe0nHead, but like her content is much, very, very low level in terms of like information and understanding of things. But most people are of that level of like knowledge and understanding of things. So you're not really going to get like an actual understanding of like what a super PAC is or how it was created or like, Citizens United. You're not going to get that kind of stuff, which again, that's no diss. Again, most content has to be like that because ultimately that's what people's intelligence levels are, right? People they know the name Citizens United, but if you ask them to explain the case to you, they wouldn't be able to tell you like what the actual details of the Citizens United case were, probably at all. But anyways, this is a post right here. It's a picture, okay? It says the all-female pack celebrate women everywhere who are flipping the status quo. So it's a picture here. You can see of 3 M&ms, I guess women's style. You can see one with glasses. Two of them have lashes, and so you can see that it's these packs, and it's posted. It's M&M supporting women flipping the status quo. M&M's bag. And so there's kind of a few ways to react to this. Now, I want to know, when you saw these packs first, write down in the comment section below what your very, very first reaction to these were. I'm not talking about your conscious reaction. I'm talking about your subconscious reaction. So what was your subconscious reaction when you saw this? Now, this kind of thing gets made fun of a lot because it's kind of like a fake feminism, like a McFeminism. You know how like McDonald's, like fake chicken and stuff like that, right? So it's like fake feminism, essentially, like McDonald's turning its sign upside down. It's like, hey, how about instead of that, you raise wages for your workers, which will disproportionately help women. Studies from the EPI, I think Economic Progress Institute, I think is what it stands for. They have studies that show that minimum wage boosts disproportionately help women of color the most, actually, like literally the most. So that would be an example, right? So that's a common criticism, and it makes sense. And so that might have been my reaction in like 2015, 16, 17, 18, whatever. My reaction to this now is not really much. My visceral reaction, it's kind of like, what's the big deal of having an M&M bag that says supporting women flipping the status quo? We undebatably lived in a patriarchal society since the founding of the United States. I don't even think women could get credit cards until like the 1970s or the 90s or something crazy like that. Think about how fucking insane that is, right? They didn't have the right to vote for like 100 years, all that kind of stuff. And so now women are starting to rise in the ranks of society and get more power. And even now, they barely have any, honestly. They're just now really starting to get up there. Men hold all of the relevant power in society, all of it, essentially, right? Because they've held the status quo. They've been the ones with property since day one, right? So, like, what's the big deal about saying this? Like, it's undoubtedly true. We can say that the message is undoubtedly true. It is good to support women, whatever capacity it may be in. You know, M&M bag saying it. It's like it's just some kind of a positive message, sort of about women flipping the status quo. Like, it's good to flip the status quo of a patriarchy, right? That's a good thing. So to me, that's not my reaction. Is, oh my gosh, what a like stupid thing, or oh, like raise your wages, blah blah blah, whatever, that kind of stuff, right? Although to be fair, it might have been that in the past. But that was just because of the influence, the massive influence of the anti-SJW movement. And so even for me, a progressive commentator, right, the anti-SJW movement was just so massive that it even influenced me into that anti-SJW direction. So even me, a progressive commentator, was pushed into that direction. So just kind of think about what that means in terms of just how influential and massive that sway was. But the anti-SJW movement is fully dead. I don't even know what those content creators, ChrisRayGun, Someblackguy, Armored Skeptic, I don't even know what all those guys are doing now. Shoe0nHead had the vantage point of, oh, let me jump back into politics again. Thunderfoot jumped back into his math and technology stuff. I don't know where those other people are and what they're doing now. But like you saw in 2020 and stuff, like a lot of people, the culture war was turning against the right. One of the big examples of that was Ben Shapiro and WAP. So I saw a lot of, skeptic, anti-SJW skeptics actually supporting Joe Biden, saying, oh, wow, like, look at the guy. Like, I saw ChrisRayGun sending out a tweet talking about, like, dude, like, the real danger is, like, Trump overthrowing the government or something like that. So it was crazy to just see in a macro analysis, right, how much the entire community had shifted from that anti-SJW-ness to going in the opposite direction. It's fascinating to see, man, in these YouTube trends. And so I know a lot of y'all weren't there, experienced it, so I'm kind of like the historian on all this stuff, right? Like, I know the history of Shoe0nHead and ChrisRayGun and Someblackguy and the macro trends. And so, that I think that the macro trend kind of changes my perspective on these bags. I don't see a problem with it. I think it's fine. So I know what you're wondering. Okay, well, what the hell did you say? So going back to the previous, window, the non-incognito window, here was my response. So I said something basic. This is not like, even like antagonistic. It's not mean. It's not anything like that. I just said, what's wrong with this? This is some cringy 2015 anti-SJW stuff. There's so much going on. To be tweeting about this is crazy, lol. And so I don't see anything wrong with it, honestly. And then it is some cringy 2015 anti-SJW stuff. That stuff is dead in the past. It's over. Like, it's finished, man. Like, it's done. Like, leave that garbage in the past. Like, making fun of M&M's bags or whatever. It's like, it's substanceless. It's a waste of time. It's cheap. It takes away from real issues that exist of misogyny, patriarchy, racism, structural racism, etc. It takes away from all of that stuff. And there's so much stuff going on right now. Like, you look at the House of Representatives, all the stuff that's going on there. You see the stuff going on with Andrew Tate, and now with the whole Kai Cenat situation and all of this kind of stuff. And you're like, damn, you're tweeting about a fucking bag of M&Ms? Now, can you walk and chew gum at the same time? Absolutely. Bien sûr. Like, you obviously can, right? For sure. But at the same time, it's like you do have like a certain limited amount that's kind of a zero-sum game in terms of how much stuff you can cover. And so what I ended up finding out is from people responding to the tweet that I had sent out, people saying, Shoe is sensitive to criticism. Welcome to the club. Have you said anything critical of her lately? Even if you don't say it to her, she'll block you if she sees it. So basically, you know, a lot of people, I wasn't aware of this, but I guess she just blocks anybody for any criticism whatsoever. I think I mean, she can do whatever she wants. I mean, it doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. Shoe blocks almost everyone. If you aren't singing her praises, you'll likely eventually get blocked. So what I have to say is that I think that she is somebody, you know, I guess she's just blocking everyone for minor criticism. I think it's weak. I think it's cowardly, intellectual cowardice at the base. Although she's, again, not to diss her, and I'm not dissing, it's just like there's not much like intellectual stuff going on. It's kind of more like the mainstream kind of basic level analysis, which is fine. Again, it's totally fine. It's cool. It's what's most consumable. And so, you know, that's what it is. So I told you guys to be kind of aware. I know that she's had a falling out with some of the progressives over the whole like fake grooming stuff about trans people. So I think she's already had a falling out with them. But I would just say, like, definitely be careful of people like Shoe0nHead. Shoe0nHead's not a Kyle Kulinski or a Sam Seed or something like that. She's going to flip-flop with wherever the waves are going. So if the anti-trans like groomer movement is popular, she's finna hop on that trend. If anti-SJW trend is popular, she's finna hop on that trend. If Bernie Sanders trend is popping, she's finna hop on that trend. So you have like straight up grifters who just straight up lie, like a Dave Rubin. Then you have like your principled people who are like a Kyle Kulinski or Sam Cedar or someone like that. And then you have like wave riders. Shoe0nHead is a wave rider. So I would say these are the main three different categories that I have like established. I don't know what you would title these, you know, come with a name for them maybe. I need to start creating like these kinds of idea sets and putting them out. That's my next step that I need to get to. In terms of like actually setting these ideas out. But you have like your principled political commentators, you have your full-on grifters, and then you have the wave riders. So Kyle Kulinski or Sam Cedar is an example of the first, the principled commentators, political commentators. Then you have the complete grifters, like Dave Rubin, for example, huge grifter, right? Then you have wave riders like Shoe0nHead or ChrisRayGun or those kinds of people, right? We're kind of flip-floppy and just kind of go with whatever's popular, right? They're kind of like careerists almost, like in the government, you know, like how there's like political appointees. There's people who are just solely in the bureaucracy just for their career. We just saw like with Hope Hicks was pissed because she was like, damn, like after this insurrection, no one's going to hire us. She didn't care about the insurrection. She cared that she wasn't going to be able to get a job. Just a careerist, right? So anyways, you can call that, I don't know, the Sahil, I don't know, organization or something. I don't know. I had to come up with a name for it. But putting my name in is a little bit narcissistic, though. But anyways, yeah, that's the little, you know, tripartite organization structure we're going to create for now. But anyways, yeah.